Let's just get right into it, shall we? It's part 23 of solving all of the world's problems one by one from a distant corner of nowhere internet. I mean, part 23 of finally replying to old comments. And there was one comment, real quick, from part 22 that I want to cover from Passionate Perceptions, who simply said, "Subscribed, Michael," smiley face. Welcome aboard, Passionate Perceptions. This video is going to show you exactly why you made such a great decision by subscribing to this channel. So where we left off with the old comments is from the section to part 9 of his master plan revealed. We were almost done. We got a couple here from Megatinny. Megatinny said, "I'll repeat myself in saying how I appreciate this being a review, an actual review of the interrogation. It delivers on that promise, and it's enjoyable too, even though the matter is serious." Well, all I have to say about that is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, y'all. Thanks, Megatinny, for the comment. Megatinny also said, "Hi there." Well, that was nice of you to drop in and try to get the algorithm going on the video with a comment. Okay, thanks, Megatinny. And next up is Rosemary Kennedy. Do you like how I started off with such a banger of reply? You're going to get so much more of this from all these other replies. Are you starting to see why I didn't reply to them by writing in the comment section and how I'm saving it for its own video now? Because it would have gotten repetitive. But this is a video that you absolutely can never turn off, so you have no choice but to listen, whereas in the comment section you can just stop looking at it. Mike, we're kind of losing faith in you as a narrator. Well, it's too bad because you can't leave now. You're stuck. Sorry, Rosemary Kennedy. I normally don't do this at the end of the day. Rosemary Kennedy said, "The only thing we know for sure is that CW is a liar." Come on, Rosemary Kennedy. We know a lot of other things for sure. The mistress was a liar. Graham and Tammy were lying to get the truth out of CW. Lots of other things too that have been covered and we will continue to cover. Lavone Tollison, 1900, said, "Love these. You are great at dissecting this and hilarious with the sarcasm." Until you see this video. And that sarcasm has gotten me in trouble a few times. Doesn't exactly make one very popular, but hey, look, there's a small niche audience for it. Lavone Tollison also said, "Zero tolerance. I love it." So that can come off extremely bad, but to clarify, as it relates to the video Lavone Tollison was commenting on, the zero tolerance referred to zero tolerance for worthless, like bot comments or, trolls. Trolls and bots are interchangeable. You're either a troll in human form or a bot of mind in human form, or just a literal bot that someone paid to go around making comments and spamming. Any of which is just digital graffiti to me, so I have no tolerance for them. It can be insulting, like, I invited Rust and Static to insult me with an original comment instead of just repeating mine back to me, because that would be constructive and relevant to the video at hand. But the digital graffiti comments that are worthless are ones that could be said to any video and require no thought whatsoever, and they just add nothing. And if they're just completely negative for no reason, why keep them there? I'm not that desperate for an audience. Okay, moving on to the comment section of his master plan revealed part 10. Anaz575 said, I don't believe he just killed his entire family, and yet he is so calm, not one tear, but a lot of laughs. That's what makes me believe that he never loved his family. Well, you were very observant, Anaz575, to pick up on that, because some of the digital graffiti comments that were just worthless were people who said, "Oh, I watched him in the interrogation and he was just acting completely normal. I didn't see anything suspicious about him at all. And when he was talking on the porch, he just seemed like a concerned father and husband to me who was worried about his family. I don't get what the big deal is. Why did you even bother making these videos?" So that's the type of comment that would get just deleted because it's worthless and taking up space. Or I would say there are plenty of other channels making videos that would welcome this kind of a comment, so you'll have no trouble finding them, and then delete it. So it's good to have observers that came to this. A lot of videos I've put out just get nothing but bot comments, even if it's only one or two. So it's nice that this actually drew an audience mostly of observers and critical thinkers. Such as this next comment from Christine Candelaria, who said, "Did he really think that he was going through a CBI and FBI investigation?" I actually think he did not. I think he completely fell for it. All that small talk that Graham and Tammy were saying when they, invited him down to the police department, brought him into the room. I think he just thought it was, yeah, we're just answering some questions. I don't think he ever thought he was in an interrogation until he got arrested. Then he started to suspect. Like after he confessed and they started getting into the details of the crime he committed, I think that's when it hit him that, oh no, I think this might have been an interrogation all along. Because all along, they were all telling him that, yeah, let's just answer a few questions and we'll send you on your way and start trying to solve the crime. To answer that question, but Christine Candelaria has a lot more going in this comment. So to continue, during the interview on August the 15th, a drone was taking photos of his job site, and cops have seen the sheets, the traces on the ground. I think that his supervisor was looking at the hatches at the top of the tanks. Did he really think that his plan was excellent? He thought his original plan, before all of the unforeseen obstacles popped into place and blocked that from happening, he thought his original plan was excellent. And in a world where law enforcement is completely automated, which is coming faster than ever with all this AI stuff, now that it's been normalized. Remember back when I started this series and how it was, I was kind of saying how they're starting to put AI in all the ads to normalize it so everyone just accepts that this is the world we live in now. And now here we are a year or two later and everyone has just accepted it. And it seems like our inevitable extinction as a species at the hands of those who propagate artificial intelligence, who are trying to propel it to super intelligence to where it's doing everything independently of human observation or influence. So how long is it before the artificial self-learning technology learns that humans are the problem and begins to solve the problem? We're on our way to that now. So Chris was born in the wrong time, because at the time when the automated law enforcement is taking his police statement and all of the details simply work on an unemotional level where you're not reading his face for, this guy doesn't seem to be acting right. The human element is removed because it's all just automated and going purely by detail. Chris's plan would have worked. So he did think his plan was excellent. And it was the human influence that threw the wrenches in his plan and made it not go the way he originally intended. And also what led to him finally confessing. It was the human element that did that. But continuing on with this comment, He needed a second brain in his ordinary life. He was unable to tie his shoes alone, and after 5 weeks alone, he believes to commit the crime of the year and go away. Yeah, I think it was Shanann's influence on his life, which can happen to the average person too. When you're with somebody and the two of you collectively build up this big life that neither one of you could have done on your own, you start to get a big head and you think that all of the things that you could, with this collective fortune, let's say, this collective dowry that you've built up as a team, you start to think, oh, all the things I could do if it was just me and not the other member of my team. If my significant other was out of the picture, I could do so many more things. But the only reason you got to that position in the first place to look at this thing that you've amassed is because of the other person. And now you start thinking that you can do it all alone, which is an erroneous way to think, because the only reason you're there in the first place is because you made it as a team. Unless you have one of those gold diggers who saw the fortune that you already created and just latched onto it, and they contribute nothing to it other than satisfying your momentary impulses until it gets old, and then it leads to the affair and the divorce, and then they take you for half of all your fortune that they don't deserve whatsoever. And I'm talking about male or female. But anyway, moving on with this comment. You can lie every day for banality. I'm late because my children were ill. The traffic was intense. I lost my keys. Nobody cares and nobody tries to clarify. But when children and pregnant wife are missing, it's a different degree of implication. Nobody doesn't care. Cops aren't idiots. Well, I'm not going to disagree with cops aren't idiots. I think it takes a certain degree of human intelligence to be anyone in law enforcement. Even though there's the exceptions who cross over the line and really are bad. But overall, despite the best efforts of cops, I think Chris saw enough examples of family annihilators getting away with it, which is why he thought he could too. Because, this really was a perfect storm with the Watts family case. How all these different elements came together, as was, dissected in the series. It's very easy to see how Chris, look at Scott Peterson's plan. He had almost no plan. It was just, my wife went for a walk with the dog and she never came home. How easy that would have been, killed the first day if he tried that in 2018 when Chris tried his plan. So Chris put a lot more thought and a lot more detail into his plan to get away with it. But anyway, I'm not trying to say Chris is smart. The attempt to try this plan, I'm talking about within the realm of family annihilators. Chris's plan was better than other family annihilators, but it was still below the level of thinking of the average person who would never attempt family annihilation. So continuing on, Nate and N.A., Shanann's friend, found immediately that he was bizarre, even if they knew him as a good guy. Cops found many red flags: his behavior, plus different times in the house, plus divorce on the way, plus pregnancy, plus mistress. Excuse me. 1 + 1 made 2. They are worried by the fate of the children, which was another red flag that stuck out to every observer, was that they were all acting differently than the suspect himself was. He was trying to act worried, but didn't know how to convey that because he was all prepared. He has to go point A, point B, point C, point D, and do everything in a row the way he memorized with his great memory. And then one of the things he hadn't prepared for was that he would have to act as if he was concerned for his missing family, because his original plan was that they were just going to be at a friend's house. And he was prepared to act like that and get all the sympathy from everyone. Like, oh, they left me and went to a friend's house. I don't know, maybe she's having an affair. Maybe she wants to start a new life with whoever's house she's at. But you see all the texts from her phone that he was going to send. So, he wasn't prepared for he was expecting the sympathy, and then all of a sudden everyone's looking at him like, why aren't you worried? That caught him off guard. So continuing on and finishing up with this comment, I think they knew quickly about Shanann by intuition. They would hope to find the little girl somewhere alive. Yep, but at least they were found, and that's more justice than some of these cases that are similar have gotten. Next comment, Amanda Buchan said, great job. Just love your opinion. Fantastic. Thank you for saying so, Amanda Buchan. Ashley Shelton said, that Watts impression, and laughing face emojis in 100. I'm glad you liked it. P.S. Crampton said, nothing could have left Tammy and Graham as gobsmacked, as the British say, as you put the girls in the oil tanker barrels at your job site. Yeah, even when they've determined that Chris is on the lowest rung of the murder ladder as far as being selfish and unconcerned with anyone else other than himself, which is another way of saying selfish, Graham was still surprised at how low of a human being he was when he said, are they in the tanks? That was like a rare moment of surprise from Graham. So yeah. Continuing on with this comment, no, I don't care what anybody claims. Even Hannibal Lecter, Jodie Foster would have been shocked at that revelation. I know Tammy and them wanted to find the girls, but never would they have located those girls' bodies without him confessing the location. Only Satan and CW would know this. I mean, as horrible as it is, it's not the most shocking thing I've ever heard a parent doing to their kids. Sadly, the surprising thing about it was kind of how dumb and absent-minded it was. It seemed unnecessarily cruel and careless if you're trying to get away with the murder. I mean, you could say a shallow grave out in the field where somebody might go to poop. Like they said, Chris and his coworkers both said that they had to use the natural toilet, so they had to go out in the field. So future employees could be going out into the field in the future and finding the shallow grave where Chris, even if he did get them all in the shallow grave, which I believe most likely was his original intent, and then found out that it was too shallow. Plus, the girls woke up after the first attempt to end their lives, so what if they woke up out of the shallow grave that they can easily escape when his coworkers were there? But also, how was he expecting no one to eventually find the shallow grave? So the whole thing was, as much as I was putting over the plan as being better than other family annihilators plans, it's still a very not thoughtless, a lot of thought went into it, but a superficial plan, very superficial, kind of like the human being himself, very superficial human being. And there was one reply from someone else to that comment, so go and check that out. Divine Within Us had a comment that said, you make more sense than anyone I have listened to about this unspeakable tragedy. Thank you. You're welcome, Divine Within Us, and thank you for giving it a chance. I know it can be hard to take a chance on just, oh, this is just a guy talking. Next. But as you found out, this is the way we kind of solve all of our biggest problems, is by communicating with each other, sharing our ideas, human to human. Next up, Hiro Forever, or Hero Forever, depending on how you say that word in Japanese, said, oh my gosh, you have to see Twisted True Cindy has, I think, a video where the thumbnail is a picture of Chris Watts' high school pictures side by side with Frankenstein, and it's dead on. Oh, I'm sorry. That's so childish. That's so childish. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It got me though. It got me. That's how we should. That's how these people should be treated. Contrary to mainstream media, who tries to build them up as these superhuman monsters. Oh, watch out for this person. Look what they did. They should be ridiculed. They're lower than the average person intellectually, emotionally, mentally, and they're built up as these being more so, and it just lures more people on that border between should I do it? Should I try to be normal again? It just pushes them over onto the border of I want to be talked about as if I'm superhuman because I really am. And after I do this now that I've decided to, everyone's going to know I'm superhuman, just like that person on the news they're showing. Oh, that's their body count. I'll get a bigger body count. That's what these low level thinkers are. That's how they're reacting to the mainstream coverage building up these cretins as more than a regular human when actually they're less. Like I just said, Chris Watts is a superficial, shallow human being motivated by momentary impulse gratification and thought that a good memory made him a genius, but had no ability to scrutinize his own memory or anything he encountered, at least beyond the first question, maybe, but very superficial. They need to be made fun of. Don't you think less people would commit completely unnecessary crimes for purely selfish reasons if everyone who did it was publicly ridiculed for doing so? Publicly just made to talked about like they're an idiot? How many people would go, I want to be the next one talked about like that. I hope I'm the next one. I'm going to do it. Yeah. There would still be people doing that, but I suspect the number would go way down. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Lee McGrish said, patiently waiting for installment 11. I hope you liked it. Annette2892 said, oh, I replied to that one. Never mind. I guess we're going to end with Sonia Marie Alves de Mello, who had 3 comments in a row, but they're all of them combined are shorter than her normal comment. Her, it could be a guy, I guess. It could be a they. Who knows? It's the internet. Everyone could be fake. It could be a bot. But anyway, let's treat Sonia Marie Alves de Mello as a human being whose opinion is worth hearing. Comment 1. We have fascination about these family. The wonderful Chris Shanann puts on media was a fake Chris. Absolutely. She knew, or maybe it was only one sliver of his personality. She knew he was a wimp. I think the part of it that was real, being the family man, was what he got back from it. But as soon as that feeling that he got from they love me and I'm needed, as soon as that started to fade, it just became a burden. And it wasn't like there was no long-term feeling of love for these people or obligation. It was just I don't feel the same thing. He said that in the interview. The spark was gone. He was talking about Shanann, but we know it was for the girls too. I think he liked the feeling at first, and that was the Chris that Shanann portrayed. She focused on that Chris to make her family look better than it was. But continuing on, she knew he was a wimp. Putting him against the wall with the Nutgate was the beginning of him wanting to be out. I think him wanting to be out started way before that. And looking for ego supply. That goes into he found a better source of supply from the mistress than he was getting from his family anymore, his wife and kids. He wanted Shanann dead long before. There you go. Psychos do not take criticism well. Absolutely. You need to be able to take constructive criticism. I mean, psychos also give unnecessary criticism just because they like the effect it has. But you need to be mature enough and experienced enough to be able to delineate between, is this a psycho giving me unnecessary mean criticism? Or am I the psycho and I should be taking this as constructive criticism instead of getting mad and using this as fuel instead of getting burned up by it? Okay, Sonia Marie Alves de Mello's next comment is, he is a typical psycho. They are not intelligent. Hey, I just said that. And nothing is deep. I just said that too. No sense of guilt. That's right. And I'm not trying to say like I invented any of this stuff or anything. It's a way of thinking. And Sonia Marie Alves de Mello seems to think the same way, which is probably why they left so many comments on my videos. But anyway, do not like when get caught when it's affecting them. Shanann trying to educate a grown-up men was like drying ice. Mission impossible. How boring their lives was. Well, I'm not sure what you meant by that last thing, how boring their lives was. Their lives seemed anything but boring, trying to stay ahead of the debt and all those bills, all those health problems. That's not boring. I wouldn't say it's fun, but it definitely wasn't boring. They definitely had no shortage of challenges to overcome. But yeah, you're right on the money as far as the way I see it on most of the other stuff. Okay, the last comment, then we'll have to wrap it up here, is he could told the police the house key is in Shanann car. Wonder how he missed in 1 minute before he opened it to ride Shanann bag and phone. Well, that kind of seems like speculation where that's just like Monday morning quarterbacking there where, well, he did it this way and he got caught. So why didn't he just do it in a different order? So I don't know. I mean, it's worth bringing up because we do have to consider things because that's definitely what psychos who are looking to annihilate their families are doing. They're saying, oh, he should have done it this way, and that's how I'm going to do it. So it's good that non-psychos are also looking at it that way, that it can happen any of these ways. You can rearrange the puzzle a different way. All right, so we're going to have to end it there, and I guess I will see you in part 24.